You're watching PEGRI TV, Rhode Island's public access channel.
Salam. My name is Sheikh Abu Hakim Abdullah, President Chairman of Al-Masjid Sharia Allah, a non-profit religious organization operating in the state of Rhode Island, USA. I'm going to talk to you now about something that happened a few weeks ago, or maybe by the time you see this, a month ago. I don't know. There's a short movie out, and also, excuse me, and also there was a burning of a Quran. Now, I'm against anybody burning our book, the Quran. I'm also against anybody making a joke out of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And if I was a leader of a country and somebody in that country made a joke about the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, whatever the penalty calls for in the hadiths and the Quran, mostly the Quran, but the hadith is more clear on that than the Quran, I would then follow that order out completely, with no hesitation whatsoever. But it didn't happen there, it happened in the United States of America. And the laws of the United States of America are quite a few. They got a bunch of law books that recognize these different laws and speak about them. I know a few of them, like every American citizen should know a few of them. And we have a thing here called freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is that you have the right to say what you want to say to a degree. You have a right to say it, but in some cases, the person that you're saying it about have the right to sue you for defamation of character. Or the group that you're talking about can sue you collectively. What I'm going to say to you now, you Muslims around the world, because I am speaking now in a position to talk to you around the world, because this is also on the internet. And I feel that you should listen to this. I believe that all of you should listen to this. Those that do not have a computer should go to somebody else's house and let you hear this and see this. I'm not going to pull any punches on you. I never do. I say what I see happening, and I say it straight out, regardless if it's a Muslim or who it is, because the law said we must be just. We must be just even against our kin, our families, our children, our mothers, our fathers, our sisters, our brothers, our cousins, our nephews, the neighbors, everybody else around us. We must be just. We are Muslims. And we must be clear. And we can't pull any punches. We must speak straight out. What I'm saying to you now is the law of the United States. The law of the United States says that a person has a right to burn the flag if they want to burn any books that they want to. And they have that right to do that. So, by a crazy preacher, I seen him on TV. I think he needs to see a psychiatrist. I believe he's sick. I believe he's one of the sickest I ever seen that's walking around talking about he's a preacher. I know he's illiterate. I can tell by the way he acts he's illiterate. But he thinks he's smart. He also one time promised to do this act about burning the Quran. And for some reason they talked him out of it. Then he decided to do it again because somebody else talked him back into it. I've seen the guy that's coming to America and talking about this thing. It's the same guy I told you about in another program. I said about him going to a town, I think it's England, and the guy smacked him in the face, his brother smacked him in the face, but he should not have done because he didn't hit him. But I'll get to that in another time, but I'm just going to say what I see him. And he came here to the United States and spreading these different statements. Then there's another brother in there that's in England, or one of them countries, and he's talking about going against and bombing Islam and destroying Mecca and all the other stuff, and he's coming trying to raise money to keep doing it, and they're giving them money. So, but let me talk about this, back to this, burning of the book. We take the book first. This is the Holy Bible. They call it the Holy Bible. It's the King James Version of the Bible. The person, King James, was adulterous and everything else. And he wanted to divorce his wife and stuff, and this book was in Latin. You couldn't understand it because he's English. So what he did, he got started on the version written in English back in the 14th century, I believe it was. And he came up with what is called the King James Version of the Holy Bible. He didn't finish it, his son finished it, but he started it. That's one act of changing the book from what it was. And before that it was in Latin. Before that it was in Greek. Before that, God knows what it was in. He's the only one that seems to know what they was doing to it. But we're told to accept the book as a holy book. We're told to accept all the books that are supposed to be by holy people as holy books. It's against, I could go get a match, turn around, light this up, and then throw it in a box and let it burn it up. because they burned up, because it was my book was burned up, but I'd be wrong. I'm not a Christian, I'm a Muslim. And our Muslim laws tell us we'd be wrong to do that. We'd be violating the laws by burning up one of his holy books. Now, regardless of how much change is done on this, it's still begun as one of his holy books that was sent to, that was supposed to be Jesus Christ, a messenger of Allah, a prophet. We accept Jesus Christ as a very good, bona fide prophet. Not the Son of God, not his nephew or his cousin and all that. We don't accept the Holy Ghost and the Spirit and all that kind of stuff. We don't accept this three-in-one thing, but we do accept Jesus Christ as a holy man and a prophet. And we have more things in our book about Jesus Christ than you got in this book about Jesus Christ. We mention his name more times in our book than you got in this book here. And we do this constantly. We mention his mother. We bless it. We ask the blessings to be upon his mother, to be upon him. We don't talk of his father because we don't know for sure who his father was, other than a spiritual God, a spiritual thing. We accept a spiritual birth, but we don't say that God sent somebody down as to act on his behalf and impregnate Miriam and lock her up, and he's the father. We don't accept that. We accept that as blasphemy against the law of God. And we say that blasphemy will put everybody in the hellfire that believe in such a thing. And that they're destined for the hellfire. That's the way we accept it. But we will not burn this book. And any brother that turns around and burn and try to destroy some people because this book was burnt by one person in a country that allowed freedom of speech and freedom of action to a degree, has violated the laws of Islam. And I say that openly. If you're out there turning over people's cars and violating their lives and getting them killed, the first time they had one of these riots, 20 people died. This last time, because behind a movie, it's not even a movie, it's a piece of junk. This piece of junk, 4 people died that we know of. And the 4 people that died was the ones that was working with the opposition people that fought against Gaddafi. With the opposition people that fought against Gaddafi and brought the so-called democratic system, democracy, into Libya. Well, that ambassador, they fear that he was murdered by the terrorist people. Well, I'm not going to go into that, but I'm saying he had no business being killed. for the burning of, because of the movie that some idiot made. That kind of system and things is what is called tribalism. That's the way you did 100 years ago, or 50 years ago, or 60 years ago, and if somebody in one tribe did something, the whole tribe was guilty. That's not right. And it's not accepted in the law's books. It's not accepted in the Quran and the Hadith. As being right. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ had payments that one man would make when he killed another man in his family, or when he did something wrong and somebody in the family got killed. That brother that did it would pay for that crime that he did. Not the whole village, not the whole town, not the whole state, not the whole country, but that one brother would pay for it. That was his law. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. So any brother or sister that's going to take it in their hand to do what he did not do, and what he said don't do, is a violation not only against the law of the land, but a violator of the law of the Quran. And I'm not kidding you. It's time for us to look at this and do some real heavy thinking and talking. You cannot find me one place in the Quran where Allah says to kill people from a city if somebody from that city killed one person across the street. It wasn't done in the Prophet's time, so it's not supposed to be done in our time. There is but one leader in Islam today. One leader, and that leader is God Almighty, Allah. Not some John Jones, not some Muhammad, not nobody else, but Allah. And any brother that thinks he's a leader that goes contrary to that book, the Quran, right here, is a violator of Islam. You cannot be served by two masters. So the brothers that ran around the street, turning over cars, breaking up people's property, killing people, and all that kind of stuff, have violated the Quran of Allah and should be prosecuted as violators of the Quran of Allah. Regardless of what country it is, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Abu Dhabi, or the United Arab Emirates, Libya, Syria, or regardless of what it is, what country it is, if they doing stuff outside the Quran in their name as a leader of Islam, and say this is Islamic, and it's not in those two books, the Quran and the Hadith, then they should be dealt with as violators of the Quran and the Hadith. I don't care what it is. That's what they're supposed to be done. They're supposed to be done with them. I don't care if it's King so-and-so, or Bishop so-and-so, or Pawn so-and-so, or Queen so-and-so. I don't care who it is. If they go contrary to this book, then they are violators of the book of Allah and should be dealt with as violators of the book of Allah. They have denied the practice that Allah has given them to practice. They have turned around and denied the practice. They denied it. They rejected it. They rejected that this is the kafarun. Now I know a lot of you not going to accept that because you don't want to accept that. Because you got your brothers and your cousins and all them hooked up in this. And if your cousin did it, your mama did it, I don't care who did it. If she violates the Quran and the Hadith, should be dealt with as a violator against the Quran and the Hadith, and if it's something that shows to lose part of her body, then take it. If you're in an Islamic country that underneath the Sharia. And I see so many different laws around the world in so-called Islamic countries. And I see so many open violations of the Islam in these so-called Islamic countries, and the people that's doing this violation is not being tested, not being dealt with. And we Muslims are supposed to stand up for what is right. It just said that. I just told you that. You're supposed to stand up for what is right. O you who believe, stand out firmly for justice as witnesses to Allah, even though it be against yourselves or your party, your parents, or your kin, be he rich or poor. Allah is a better protector to both than you. So follow not the lust of your hearts, lest ye avoid justice. And if you distort your witnessing or refuse to give it, verily Allah is ever well acquainted with what you do. And that's Quran. That's Quran. Ayat 135. You see? Now, that's what we're supposed to be following. The little Muslim, the big Muslim, all of them are the same. One of the reasons why all this is happening to us is that we refuse openly to live Islamically, physically live Islamically. And we're so split up in our deen. And that a lot of that splitting up comes from education. I'm not saying don't get education, but you must be taught how to control that education and keep that education under the control of Islam and not let the education try to control your Islam. Because that is your desires trying to control your deen. And this is what you're supposed to do. And it's time for you to start doing that. I'm not sitting here going to read to you or give you a lesson in how the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ moved from Medina to Mecca, or moved from Mecca to Medina. How he went into the cave with Abu Bakr and another brother. You know, I'm not going to give you nothing about how he had Ali laid in his house and in his bed. Excuse me. I'm not going to give you that. Because that's not today. The Imam gives that to the children. I mean, in training classes. I'm giving you what is happening today and how you're supposed to live with that. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This is what I'm giving you. And this is what you should, I'm giving you every time I speak in a program, this is what I'm giving to you. I'm trying to say to you, hey, it's time for us to reorganize ourselves. And there's a part of that, there's 6 volumes of tapes coming to this program, to the web. In a couple of days, I will have it on for you to look at. On organizing yourselves. Reorganizing yourselves to match your deed. Reorganize yourself to match the time that you live in. Not reorganize your Islam, but reorganize yourself to your Islam. Because there's nothing wrong with your Islam. What is wrong is you. We are the biggest enemies to our deed. We are. Because we fail to do what the law tells us to do. We fail to speak out against wrong. We fail to speak out against it, even to everybody. Not just to the brother, but to everybody. We got a group of people running around here talking about they jihadists and all this kind of stuff. They're blowing up people, burning down houses, killing women and children. They're doing all this in the name of Allah, in the name of Islam, and you're getting persecuted for it. And you still stand around, you turn around and going to run out in the street and do something because it happened 8,000 miles away from you. And you're going to run out in the street and kill people because of that. And you got people killing people when the law said you hurt one Muslim and you're hurting the whole village. The whole village. And brothers are killing one Muslim and they're killing their whole village. And you're not doing anything about that. Nothing. You had somebody fly over here in a plane and kill 3,000 people or more. And out of that, there was Muslims that was bombed, that died in that building, them two buildings. And you didn't have a fit about that. You don't have a fit about what's going on in Afghanistan. You don't have a fit about brothers selling all that dope to people and killing them, and you getting blamed for it. And the law tells you to speak out against that. But you're not speaking out against it. You steady got your mouth. You have to stop that. Now I'm talking to you. I'm telling you, Dean. I'm not telling you something that what I think. I'm telling you something what is here in this book. Today, last year, 1,400 years ago, all the same thing. There was but one leader. And everybody followed that one leader. And that was a law. That's why the Prophet Muhammad told you that when you told him about what he gives to him, what he gives to you, what he gives to you all, he said, I give you nothing of my own. That everything that I give to you comes through me from the law and to you, to be given to you, comes through me to you. So whose sunnah is it? It's a law's sunnah. It's a law's way. It's a law's way we got to follow. Not the Prophet Muhammad's sunnah, a law's sunnah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin, rahmanir-rahim, maliki yawmiddin, iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in, ihdinas siratal mustaqim. صدق الذين عليهم المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين الحمد لله رب العالمين